Let me just start off by saying that if you would sniff a chair that McFarlane had been sitting on, this is clear cut a video made for you, because we're talking about nothing but McFarlane. And I would call it a DC Multiverse action figure line video, but I suppose this isn't technically the DC Multiverse line. It's the, well, it doesn't matter. There are too many lines to keep track of here for McFarlane. I will say there are some very interesting things that McFarlane is doing here, and I definitely feel like they need to be addressed. So the first one being the biggest one, there is a new Batmobile for the Robert Pattinson, aka Reeves, live action universe, which is, you know, the main Batman universe going on right now. And it looks phenomenal. It displays incredibly well. I will say it's lacking a little bit of paint, especially for an $80 price point. It's really not that bad for a 1/10 scale vehicle. It's usually about that price range. So $80 plus shipping through the McFarlane website. I've said this before. I don't like when McFarlane handles the shipping himself, because we don't know exactly what the shipping is going to be. I've heard different stories. There are people that have paid as much as like $15-20 for an entire wave, and there are other people that pay a little bit more or a little bit less, depending on the collectible, how heavy it is, and then where it's getting shipped to. So I'm just gonna go out and assume it's gonna be bare minimum about like $20 shipping for this particular vehicle. And it looks great. It displays incredibly well. It's supposed to sit the Robert Pattinson Batman incredibly well in there, but ultimately it is missing a little bit of paint. I would love just more grittiness to it. This is probably one of my favorite Batmobiles of all time. It's very down to earth, gritty, realistic. I would have liked at least a little bit of shading going on, especially on the back part where you see all the chrome. And I'm of the mindset that if they wanted to spike it up like maybe $15 to $20 more and add some electronic components to it, I would definitely not be against it. I would love something like that. Maybe some light up features or some sound effects. I know that's more of like the old school mentality where your like vehicles and your action figures made noises and sounds and they would light up, but I would like to see something along those lines for McFarlane. But this is a great vehicle. The only real issue here is you're paying closer to about, like, with taxes and shipping, you're paying closer to about like 110 to 120. So it's definitely quite a bit of a markup. I think a lot of it has to do with McFarlane just not wanting to piece out any more profits, because obviously if he's selling these action figures through like Amazon, Walmart, Target, they have to take a piece of the profit. So he wants all of that to himself. And unfortunately, he's not passing on the savings to the consumer, because if he were to do it like this, then the consumer would save about like 20 to 25, $30 on shipping. And, you know, it would just kind of go full circle. But unfortunately, he's not interested in that. He's just trying to get the most profit that he possibly can. He's going to handle the shipping himself. And, you know, all of that goes into his pocket, which I think, I don't know. I personally would have gone through Amazon and just made it more widely available, but it is what it is. If you guys are interested, this is now up for pre-order at $80 a pop. Then you do have the Deathstroke, the classic Deathstroke action figure, as well as Metron. He comes with his chair, and then Deathstroke comes with a bunch of different weapons and accessories. Both of them are a part of the collector's edition line, which, let's not forget, has now been bumped up to $34.99 depending on where you pick it up. I think Best Buy had it for about $35, but GameStop and Entertainment Earth, Big Bad Toy Store, those type of smaller retailers usually have it for about $37.99. So it's definitely important to shop around, make sure you're getting the best price available. It's definitely quite a bit of a hefty price point. Now, the only problem that I have with this, I love this classic version of Deathstroke. Metron, I really have no attachment to him. I've seen him in certain panels and storylines here and there. He does come with this chair, which is really cool, but I just don't feel like there's a ton of value with these collectibles. Honestly, McFarlane is just reusing those killer weapons from, I'm assuming, maybe like the Keanu Reeves action figure, the Berserker figure that he released not too long ago. We've seen Spawn have a ton of these different weapons. I'm going to go on a limb and say that he's just reusing those. Metron's chair is pretty cool, but he could be reusing parts from the, what was it, the Black Adam throne, as well as the Lex Luthor throne. Both of those came with thrones, if I'm not mistaken. Which also raises another question. Is there even value in anything that McFarlane is offering anymore? I just don't feel like there is. Back in the day, you would sometimes get an action figure that would come with like a crazy accessory, like an action figure stand, a throne, things of that nature, at a regular $20 price point. Now it feels like you're paying through the nose for everything. Like any little extra, any little accessory, you're having to fork over way more money, and it's just a little bit frustrating. This is coming from somebody that, you know, kind of enjoys McFarlane collectibles for the most part. This to me feels really dirty. I mean, you would, back in the day, you could get a Black Adam with a throne for $20. Now you're having to pay about $35 to about $38 for a Metron figure, which is not a very well-known character, with a chair. Now, I love the design of Deathstroke. He has that classic color tone, as well as the, you know, the body mold all around. It's definitely very reminiscent of like his first few appearances, or the appearances that he had like way back in the 80s. So I really like it. Again, the only problem is it's a collector's edition line. $35 for this action figure. Way back in the day, you could get an action figure with a decent array of accessories. We just got the first appearance Batman not too long ago with a ton of different accessories. We got Jim Gordon as Batman with a ton of different accessories. So I think it is definitely viable for him to include all of this at a regular DC Multiverse action figure price point, but it just feels like he's pushing a little bit. He's trying to gain as much profit as he can out of every single one of these releases. And as much as I'm excited to see what's coming down the pipeline, it's still really frustrating to see him continue to do this, especially when a lot of it is just reuse. A lot of it is reissuing. You know, you can clearly see that a lot of these figures are reusing entire body molds or limbs or torsos. Like, he's rarely giving us anything that's brand new head to toe. Usually it's just like a different paint job with a different head sculpt. He might swap limbs here and there across figures, but it just doesn't feel like he's doing anything that's too innovative and creative. And I get it. He's about to lose the DC license, and he's trying to capitalize as much as he can, but I don't think that he should be doing it at the cost of the consumer. I think he should always be, you know, at least for the most part, be giving value to the consumer. And then, you know, you might have some releases here and there that are a little bit more expensive, that are closer to the collector's edition line, but I just feel like there hasn't been that value in quite some time from McFarlane action figures. And then lastly, you have Mr. Bones as well as Obsidian, both of them technically being DC Direct action figures. They will both include art prints that are featured inside of the clamshell packaging, and they will both come with a total of 6 different hands, and then as well as the cloth cape, and I believe there's a wire running through the cape, so you can get them into some pretty crazy intricate poses. Both look pretty good. I mean, I know they're kind of like simplistic designs. There's nothing too crazy going on. Not a ton of paint, but I think they're pretty accurate to like their first appearances, or some of their first appearances in comic book form. So I think people will definitely be happy about these particular releases. I will say it's worth mentioning, I can't even remember the last time that we got an action figure stand from a DC Multiverse line action figure, or even the DC Collector's Edition line. So I'm not sure if they're moving away from just releasing anything extra in packaging, but I would like to see more action figure stands from McFarlane before the line is up. It's interesting because Mortal Kombat, that 2-pack from, I think it was the Sub-Zero 2-pack, actually has a couple of action figure stands, which tells me it's more of like a hook. Like, he gives you action figure stands to get you interested in the line, and then later he's probably just going to take them away. So, but regardless, there's some good characters here, some really good reveals. Mr. Bones, Obsidian, Deathstroke, the new Batmobile. They're great collectibles. People want them in their display, but they're still frustrating because of the fact that it feels like every time there's a really good release, there's a markup attached to it, or there's like an extra fee, or they're cutting back on something very specific, and I'm just not in love with that part of it. It's kind of frustrating, even though I still am a huge McFarlane fan, and I do pick up occasionally some of his collectibles. But as I said, I just wanted to give you guys a quick little heads up on what it is that is happening within the McFarlane DC Multiverse line. Let me know your thoughts down below. Are you guys interested in any of these? Will you be picking them up? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Stay safe out there. Make sure to enjoy the hobby. Pose your action figures. Play around with them. Stay safe out there. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.